because there are things, well, right here is a great card that I'll encourage all of you to take a look at. And it's called sunken cost fallacy. This, yeah, this card is super, super important. And it says you irrationally cling to things that you have already cost you something. So if you have a belief that you believe is what's going to lead you to wherever it is that you want to go, and you've created this belief and you've made investments into finding out what that looks like, the more the more challenging it's going to be to get out of that, right? Like I've seen marriages that have been in marriages that I wouldn't call a marriage, they're just partnerships or friendships. And because they don't know how, they don't understand sunken cost fallacy, they end up staying in marriages that are not healthy for either one of the people because they don't want to back out of decisions that they've already made, right? And so this is why it's really important to understand what is it that's motivating you to make the decisions that you want to make. I should not be going to that church because they are Freemasons. Then don't go. I mean, what? Don't go. And I don't know this. Freemasons to me, I've never heard that Freemasons don't believe in God because, yeah, they've got a lot of practices that that I've seen that yeah, that makes no sense to me because what's the other one I'm trying to think? Freemasons and the Knights Templar, right? Like they're very, very interconnected. And the Knights Templar used to fight for the church. So that doesn't, I don't know, that doesn't make any sense for me. Yeah. So again, right, you've been going to this church for 15 years, you build a community around it. That's going to impact your decision of being able to leave it. So here's the greatest question. And this is for everybody that's on here, because this has everything to do with what I'm going to be talking about. Advice you need to skyrocket the business and your life, right? Is being able to let go of the things that's impacting your ability to accelerate, right? And so familiarity, like look at the word familiar, family, liar, right? And these are the very things, like we get so comfortable with familiar, and what ends up happening is we create inertia, right? Which is an object at rest or in motion will continue to stay in that state unless something external acts upon it, right? So we start creating inertia and we're not moving, and we get comfortable and we get familiarized with it. But then we want to start stepping outside of that, and then we get guess what? We get to face our biggest fear, which is being separated from our tribe. This is what causes a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of successful people to not step into their greatness, is because they have belief systems that has got them to where they're at. And in order for them to get to the next level of where they want to be, they're going to have to start looking at the beliefs that got them there and being able to expand on. Okay. This is like what I just said there is hugely important in understanding, because what got you here won't get you there. And in order for you to start looking at where is it that you want to go? Okay, so here's the first thing that I'm going to share with everybody. First thing in getting somewhere different, you have to get very clear on where it is that you want to go. Whether it's business, relationship, health, it doesn't matter. Where is it that you want to go? Right? And I ask people that question, and a lot of them will come up with, and I get it, like this has been my journey too. There's no judgment in anything that I say, because everything that I am sharing with everybody is a result of my own journey, right? And when you ask somebody what it is that they want, most of them will come up with what they don't want, right? And they wonder why they keep attracting the things that they're attracting in their life, because your subconscious mind does not know how to make the distinction between what is good and what is bad, right? Excuse me. So where is it that you want to go? What is it that you want to create, right? And then assessing who you are and really and accessing who you are and what is it that's keeping you from being the person that is required to create the outcomes that you want to create. I'm going for Jesus, not for my pastor. Jesus never said that you need a pastor to connect with Jesus, right? And I'm just gonna put that out there. And really, so let me ask you this question. So I got somebody on here that's in this transitional phase, and it's going to support everybody on here, because we live in a time that the greatest time in history for anybody to make a living on their own and be able to create absorbent amount of wealth. We live in a time more possible than any other time in history, right? And so what keeps us from seeing that is because we're taking old programming into new opportunities, right? And so as we're moving from the old programming, right? Like we all been raised by our parents, we've all been raised by systems that have made us believe certain things. Well, when we stepping out into creating something new within our lives, we have to change the programming so that we're able to see opportunity. Opportunity is a reflection of your perception. Your perception is a reflection of what you believe is possible, right? And so being able to, again, it's not what to believe, it's how to believe, right? We have 15-year-olds making mega million dollars on YouTube. Right now, if you go back to the story of Roger Bannister, right, like there was a time that they didn't believe the 4-minute mile. It was impossible for somebody to run the 4-minute mile. They medically proved it. They medically proved it, that they said that you're not able to run because the heart's not going to be able to pump blood enough to sustain a body to create that. Guess what? They did it, and within months, multiple people had broke the 4-minute mile because once somebody saw that it was possible, now they couldn't argue for their excuses, right? And so this gentleman is saying, I'm sorry, I'm assuming you're a gentleman. If you're not, please say so. That you're in a transitional phase in your life, and really being able to pay attention to where are you feeling led, right? And sometimes where we're being led requires us to let go of communities that we have developed, right? And this gets to be the opportunity, right? And so the question that I would ask people, I'm going to share, like, this is one of the most powerful tools that I could ever share with any of you. I'm going to show you and tell you how to be fearless, right? Like, how many of you would like to learn how to be fearless in any area of your life? How many of you would like to be fearless, right? And so are you a male or female? I'm 63 years old. My name is TJ. TJ, it's great to meet you. I'm assuming that you're a male, okay? And Lake Michigan rocks. I've been there many, many times. Thank you for sharing that. So what is it? What does it mean to be fearless? Like, how many of you would like to know how to never have fear in your life again? Now let me rephrase that. How to move through fear, because fear is required for you to have courage. It's good to meet you, TJ. Appreciate you being here. Fear is required, or courage, excuse me. Fear is required for us to experience courage. You cannot have courage without moving through fear. It's impossible, right? So this is how you move. This is how you become fearless, is you ask yourself, what am I afraid of losing? What am I afraid of losing? And how many decisions do we not want to face because at a subconscious level, we understand that if I make this choice, it's going to create oppositions with the people that have conditioned me to believe the things that I currently believe. Okay. So when I'm talking about our biggest fear is to be separated from our tribe, either physically, spiritually, mentally, psychologically, emotionally, right? And so if I'm going to challenge beliefs that I was conditioned to believe by my immediate environment, right? What does it mean when I challenged the environment that conditioned me to believe what I believe? Well, in my case, if I challenged what the environment taught me to believe, it was humiliation on a horrific level, right? It's the same thing what we experience when we question authority figures. Okay, now this is why go into my class. Like, I can't tell enough people this. Go into my ROI Accelerator Challenge class. You can click the link in my bio, and I'm going to put it on here as a banner. Is because if you don't understand influence, my friend, if you don't understand influence, it's being used on you. Okay, now that's not good, bad, or indifferent. It's just understanding. Father, forgive this man, for he knows not what he's doing. Well, yeah. And what does that mean, right? Like, all of us have certain levels of knowledge. And if I don't have a certain level of knowledge and somebody else does, that means that they can impact me and I wouldn't even be aware of it, right? Like, effective seduction is not recognized. And by the way, this is how darkness works. This is how the adversary works, is that people choose to be ignorant. They choose to be ignorant. They don't choose to understand what is it that has really caused them to believe what they believe. right? They just take on somebody else's word that somebody taught them, and they don't do their own research. And then they wonder why, how did I end up over here? And everybody, not everybody else, but a lot of other people are expanding in their life and having incredible things happen. It's because we don't challenge our beliefs, right? We just, and see, it's not about what to believe, right? It's about expanding beliefs, right? So you have a phone. I have this phone here, right? And every once in a while, this phone operating system upgrades, right? Well, what happens when that operating system upgrades? There's going to be some other things that are required for this phone to get the optimum performance out of it that I want. That means that all of the apps have to upgrade as well so that it's in sync and functional with the new operating system. If those apps don't upgrade, guess what? They become obsolete. They become outdated. Now, that doesn't mean that the entire app isn't functional. It's just what parts of the operating system and the app don't sync, right? So you were raised in a different educational system than your parents were, right? And just we are always evolving, right? And just so I want to share this with you because this is really poignant to some of the stuff that I'm talking about. Like, we live in an age, like from 1750 to 1930, or 1950 was the industrial age, right? It was the machines, the people that had the machines created the wealth, right? Then in 1950 to 1978, we went into the distribution age, right? This is franchising. This is Walmart. This is MLM companies. This is franchising. This is infomercials, right? You started getting into the distribution age. Then you went from 1978 to 1994. This became the technology age, right? This is where you could program technology. This is when Bill Gates showed up. This is when Steve Jobs showed up, right? They programmed, and the program became the system that ended up generating wealth for them. Then you get into 94 to 03, you went into the information age where people could live. This is what I do, like selling information that could transform people's lives. Then you get into the info techno entertainment age, which is what we're in now. So I say all that to say this. When we are operating, when we start seeing possibility based in the era that we live in and not the programming, this is when endless possibilities start happening, right? We have more billionaires being created now and millionaires created now than ever before. Now, you could go, well, it's because the population of the earth is, okay, without a doubt. But you start looking at percentages, then it starts getting your possibility thinker happening, right? Is because you get to believe whatever you want to believe, and what you believe determines what your horizons are going to create, right? So if you want to believe that it isn't possible, you are literally believing a lie. There's all kinds of people out there that have created absorbent amount and it's not about money, it's about wealth. To me, wealth is about being able to make an impact. Wealth is about living your life the way you want it, when you want, with who you want, where you want, when you want. To me, that's wealth. It doesn't have to be an absorbent amount of money. It's me being able to live the life that I really want to live and making the impact with other people that I want to make, right? So looking at these things and going, what is it that I really, really value? So again, getting clear. What is it that you really want to make a difference in your life? And it doesn't have to necessarily be business. It could be, what do I want in a relationship? What do I want with my relationship with God? Who decided? This is a really important question. Who decided my relationship with God? Like, I would just let you sit with that one for a while, right? Who decided and conditioned you to believe what is possible with God? And what work have you done with yourself and spent time with God and really allowed yourself to have that dialogue and being able to let go of the things that keep you from standing in a deeper relationship with God? I would ask all of you to think about that, because I've had some experiences that's just been absolutely mind-boggling. And because understanding, again, it's levels of understanding, right? Like, there's 8 or 9 levels of understanding right now, but understand, friends, over 80% of humanity is at level 4 or below. Now, it's not hierarchy, it's holarchy. It's being able to, the bandwidth of what you're be able to access to determine what it is that you perceive in your awareness, right? So when I'm talking about this is understanding we have had things happen within the evolution of humanity that we are dragging the past into trying to keep it alive to create new things. And this is what's created. Most religion is at level 4, right? And the systems, the book, the employee handbook, all of this stuff was in with level 4, right? And when somebody starts to go outside of that, they're gonna get kickback, because it's just like the old question, the statement about how you keep crabs is you can't just throw a crab in the bucket because it'll climb out. How you keep a crab in a bucket is you catch two. When the one tries to climb out, the other one's going to pull it back down, right? And that's what happens when we have been raised in a community. Think of the word community, common unity, right? And if you start questioning what the commonality of that unity is, it's going to bring up things within yourself, and then you can start asking yourself, what is most important to me? And am I getting by to get along, right? And friends, I'll tell you, like, some of my biggest challenges has been me. Nina Bella is in the house. It's good to see you, Nina. Some of my biggest challenges has been being willing to let go of the tribe in order for me to find out new possibilities within myself. Because, friends, understand that when you're in a community or in a tribe, everybody has an investment into how that entanglement, if you will, of that relationship is, right? And I've seen this so many times with so many people. So say you get a business opportunity, okay? And you go out and you share your business opportunity with everybody, but guess who you're going to go share it with? And say that you're just getting in this arena, right? You're going to go out there and share this with all your friends, and your friends are at the same financial status that you are. Well, they're going to run it through all their filters, and right away they're going to have resistance, because some is you're not convinced yet. You're not 100% sold on this idea, so that you're going to go into your tribe where you're going to want support, and they're not going to see it the way you've seen it, and they're going to shut it down. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've seen people go take financial advice from people that are at the same financial level as them, right? If you want to expand any area of your life, you go talk to people that are more expanded in it, in whatever area you want to expand it in, right? And so this has to do with, like, how you believe God sees you is a reflection of how you see you. Now, for some of you, that's gonna bring up lots of interesting things, right? But how and why is that important is because that's also how you're believing other people are going to see you, is a reflection of how you see you. How do you hold the possibility of what you believe is not accurate or aligned with what it is that you really want to create? How do you hold that space? And see, for me, I love being wrong. I love being wrong. Okay. Now, it doesn't mean I go out and, hey, I'm wrong and all that stuff, but I understand that if I'm saying something that's not wrong, then I'm going to discover something that's going to bring out more of my truth. Right. And sometimes it's not much fun. Right. And so it's always an opportunity for us to go through the initiation that we get to go through in order for us to experience new things within ourselves. Right. Pain is a great motivator. It's far more motivating than pleasure. Right. And if I want to create certain things within my life, I have to be willing to take certain risks. Right. And we have been so indoctrinated by the system that if you are incorrect, then you are humiliated. Like, I used to get my test scores put up on the wall, big red F, right? Or if I didn't get one, I saw somebody else get a big F, right? And everybody humiliated that person that got the F. So we were conditioned not to fail, right? Then we have this whole thing, and I know this is probably going to trigger some of you, but my intention is to get you to just think about some things, right? Is then we get into this participation thing where everybody gets a participation trophy. I totally support everybody needs to be acknowledged for their efforts, without a doubt, right? But if we don't teach children how to lose, we are setting up some very, very dangerous things, like what happens when that child loses the first relationship, right? Or they don't get the job promotion or something like that. They're not going to have the capacity to know how to move through these things, right? So this is what I offer everybody out there: is get clear about what it is that you want to create. What is it that you really, really want to create in your life? In the 6 domains of life. So career, family, relationship, health, spirituality, and personal development. Those 6 areas are the domains that I usually work with. Get really clear on what it is that you want to create with those. Then, what is it that's standing in the way, that's holding, what's in the gap that's preventing you from creating what it is that you really want to create? Then, is the environment that I put myself in going to call me forward? Is these people going to support me enough to call me forward and call my greatness out? Right? Because, yeah, this has probably been one of the biggest things that has supported me. And and we all hear this whole thing about vibration, and we're energetic beings and all that stuff, right? But until you start living and stretching that boundary of who you really are, this is where you start really experiencing, and it moves from knowledge to understanding to wisdom, right? And when it becomes wisdom, now it's an integrated part of who you truly are, right? And we have things that we can access. We have the evidence of what we've been able to move through, right? And then we're able to trust ourselves to take bigger risks and put our heart out there. Yes, we need accountability partners. Yes, we got a Jeff Bezos. Man, I'm just so flattered by that. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So thinking about, so if Jeff Bezos, yeah, man, I would have paid attention because there's some nuggets that I'm going to drop for you, right? But think about what Jeff Bezos did. Jeff Bezos broke the model of what he was conditioned to believe, right? Like Amazon, like, I don't know if you know the whole history of Amazon, but it was like, there was a long time that the stockholders were going, dude, are you going to make any money? He stayed his vision, and it started out selling used books. And now look at it. Now look at who Jeff Bezos created. And here's the other part. Apple was the first trillion-dollar company, right? But a lot of people don't even really know what business Apple's in. What business do you think Apple's in? Business is in the Apple. Apple is in the business of acquiring customers. And they keep putting out products that keep getting people to become their customer, and so that they can wow them. And then when they wow them, they get events, they have people gather together, and then they sell them their next product. That's the business Apple is in. Like this, like, you really want to know why Elon Musk wanted Twitter? It's the data. It's the data. It's the customers, right? Yeah, and I get it, right? Like they are in the business of making profit. Do I agree with how they do it? I don't have to align with it, but it's still understanding that that is what it's creating. So, but you might think it's slavery, but the other part of it too is like $10 here is like $10,000 there, right? So it's injecting economy into wherever they're doing. Now, again, I don't know all the ins and outs with it. And this is another thing that I would encourage everybody to, until you've been there, what you are doing is you're buying into somebody else's perception, right? And so I don't know what actually goes on with Apple. Yes, I've heard lots of things about it and things like that, but that doesn't mean that Apple changed the game, right? And so this is what happens: is somebody can take a little bit of information like that and throw the whole baby out with the bathwater, right? And when you understand that, yeah, we could have a whole conversation on that in itself. But understanding that there is good in the worst and there is bad in the best, right? And how we hold that is going to determine where we see the opportunity, right? Sorry, April, I didn't mean to. Yeah. So, but yeah, just think about that. And there are lots of things that we can learn from people out there. If we, like Hitler, right? Like Hitler, what Hitler created was like, he almost took over this world. Like Hitler almost took over this world. And there's one thing that's super, super important about understanding what prevented him from doing that, right? Is that Hitler was not a stupid man. He was brilliant, right? What he did was, there's no question about what he did was horrific, right? But if we don't understand how he created that, then it's going to be created again. But see, here's the thing that took Hitler out. Thank goodness this is what took him out. He would execute anybody that brought him negative feedback, right? So think about like his history. He got kicked out of art school. He wanted to be an artist. He got kicked out of art school. So he doesn't handle rejection really well. So he has all kinds of insecurities. Somebody brings him negative feedback. He immediately gets triggered. So what better way to make it so that I never get triggered again is just kill the person that brings it to me. right? Well, that ends up causing some major issues because we're not getting authentic feedback, right? It's very skewed and good. Thank goodness that that's what ended up happening. Um, um, I don't give that a lot of thought. Yes, do I think that there's people running this world that we don't understand and that we are being fed stuff but I got to be careful on saying that because I don't want to get my life shut down again. And it happened already, right? There's a lot of things going on that a lot of people don't know. Absolutely. 100% get behind that for sure. And understanding, like I would encourage everybody to start read the books propaganda. Like it's really important because the number one, the most valuable commodity out there is your attention. Your attention. And they're doing all they can to keep your attention. And if they can keep you angry and they can keep you afraid, then they control how you can behave. Right. It's just like these last couple, like this last election was a great example of that. COVID, all of this stuff was a great example, like clearing out a whole department stores of toilet paper. Wow, that's interesting. All it is reflecting is that they can control people's behavior. That's all it reflects, right? So the more you can take control of your inner world and be aligned with your truth and what it is that you really want to make happen, the more liberated you're going to be because you're going to be able to trust yourself instead of reacting. They want you to react. So, yeah, what is it that you want? What's standing in the way? And then what's your environment? Like environment is more powerful than your willpower, right? And we're homeostasis. So we are going to balance out to what our environment, from the environment that we put ourselves in. So you want to put yourself in an environment that calls you forward, right? That's how great things happen. You start hanging out with bigger thinkers, man. It's like I love that. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And like I can't emphasize that enough. So I encourage everyone that's watching this, and I appreciate you supporting me. I can't, like, there's so much more that I want to share. Get over to the ROIacceleratorchallenge.com and be a part of the team that's going on over there. There's people creating amazing things over there. People are being liberated and transformed at a level I didn't even like. It's pretty incredible. So I would love to meet all of you over there and do what I can to support you in creating the life that you truly desire. Okay. I appreciate each and every one of you showing up. It means the world to me. I appreciate you sharing your valuable time with me. And have a great evening. And I will see you. Probably Thursday. Until then, my friend, much love, be blessed, and as always, live like your life depends on it. Because it does. Take care.